snowstorm today. It's probably got a good, I'm not sure how many inches out here already, but it's making it worthwhile.
We got things opened up here pretty good. Yeah, we had about 6 inches of snow today and got the snow cleaned out of the trenches the best we could and got them shaved, and we're doing our feeding here this evening. The snow's supposed to end here sometime this evening, but yeah, we have 3 different trenches here in a row, feeding out of all 3 of them, 3 different kinds of feed. Snow's supposed to end here sometime this evening, but back here it had quit for a little bit, but back here at the mountain it's really looking like it's going to snow here again. So yeah, and the wind's supposed to start kicking in here sometime this evening, and tomorrow get really windy and cold. This is what happens when you get water inside of a metal pipe. We have some metal pipes for posts, and it froze in there, so it pushed it up out of the top about 1 inch or 1.5 inches, maybe almost 2 inches. It's just kind of neat. This is Monday morning, and I'm up in our one silo here. It's probably going to sound echoey in here because it is. But yeah, there's doors that open up that go out into the chute, and there's a ladder in there that you can climb up. Might not be the best of lighting either, but we have a Jamesway unloader in here right now, and we got to adjust the ice choppers, they call them. It's a wheel out on the end of the auger that runs out against the wall of the silo. Well, there's 2 wheels here that, yeah, these 2 wheels here turn, and they run right against the wall, but then you won't be able to see it, but down behind here along the wall, and underneath this housing part right here, there's an auger that runs in there that digs the silage loose and pulls it back into the fan, and then the fan blows it up that gooseneck and out the one door. And sometimes when it's, yeah, them ice choppers get worn a little bit, you gotta adjust them. It's supposed to get really cold this week, and the reason they call them ice choppers is it keeps the silage cleaned off the wall, and especially when it gets cold. You can see they've needed adjusted for a little while already. There's a couple spots here where there is getting some buildup. If you don't keep after that, especially once it gets cold, that stuff will start freezing. If it gets cold for a couple weeks, you can have a big mess on your hands if them things ain't cleaning the walls off. So yeah, I'm gonna have to adjust them a little bit. It shouldn't take real long. There's a bolt right here on top of this wheel. Basically what you do is you adjust these wheels back a little bit so that they're not quite as close to the wall, and then so yeah, you'll loosen that big bolt right there up, and then there's a adjusting rod here. You can adjust it back and forth. So don't know if I'll be able to get a whole lot of video of adjusting it, but I'm gonna have to adjust it a good 1/2 inch or more. Yeah, I can stick my fingers down between there. It's probably a good inch in there. Sometime, hopefully, we'll be able to get a video of this thing running. I'll have to have somebody down below running it while I'm up here. Tightening up this nut. I loosened everything up good and slid it out. We probably adjusted it probably about 3/4 inch there. The ice chopper's tight out against the wall, or they'll basically run against the concrete. You still want to have a little space between the wall and the ice choppers, but not very much. If you can see on the threads there, probably tighten it in a good 3/4 inch. Like I said, then this big bolt on the top of the wheel, I had to loosen that up, and now tighten that back up. These silo unloaders are fairly trouble-free. Depends how much you use out of them. Right now, it's probably about once a month we have to come up, and you have to, like as the silage is going down, you have to come up and move that chute down to the next door. And if it's here when I'm up here today, I'll probably move it down one door. I wish I had my GoPro. I forgot to bring it along, so I'm just recording with my phone. I'd be able to set it up here and yeah, show you how you do that. But normally we can move it down 2 doors if it's down as far as it can go before it needs to put down a door. But right now we can only go down 1 door. So yeah, and then as you move the chute down, we close the doors up that are already, that we don't need open anymore. That way when come next summer when we're ready to fill it, they'll all be closed. You don't have to climb the whole way up the chute and try to close them then. Not only is it hot in the summer to try to do that, but yeah, over the summer it collects a lot of dust in the chute, and it can be a very dirty, sweaty job if you have to do all of them in a hot summer day. But yeah, when you're using out of it from like here where it's blowing out the door, from there on down, it stays fairly clean. There might be a little dust in the chute, but not much. From the silage going down the chute, it stays fairly clean. But anywhere above that, it starts collecting dust and can be a really pretty dusty and dirty. About twice a year we grease them. There's a couple bearings on them. We always grease them before we fill in the fall or in the summer, fall, whatever it works out there. And then, yeah, oftentimes somewhere in the middle of the year, we'll grease them another time. But other than that, they're fairly trouble-free. There's not a whole lot of maintenance to them. But
What you doing, Teddy? I should show you here his animal. That's his friend. It's just about done for him. It had like purple ears, purple like crinkly ears, and oh, it still has one eye, and all the feet were purple, and they. Well, I guess the 1 foot part of it's left, but yeah. Anyway, they tore the ears off like right away. I'm not sure why. But anyhow, they've been carrying it around. I think it's about time for a new one, huh, Teddy? You need a new animal? We have 1 bottle calf right now. The rest of them are all on the feeders. And once she takes off, we'll put her over there yet too. But she's drinking the bottle really good. And so that makes it easier. They fit in really well with the other calves. But then while I'm here feeding, over here's a mom with a new baby. It's always fun to watch the new moms with their babies. She must have just had her calf not very long ago because it's still wet. It's pretty red. Yeah, because she's still there washing it off. So we have those two sneaking in. It's funny. You give them a milk replacer, they'll come eat it, and it like sticks in their tongues. And then they have to lick, kind of like feed them peanut butter or something. And they really like it. The cats will come along and eat it too. It like gets on their whiskers. Yeah, but they like it. The calves here this morning finishing up. And we have these nipple bar feeders. And every feeding, we'll always like feed the calves their milk. They drink it and then we'll rinse them out. But then twice a week, we'll scrub them. And yeah, use soap and everything. And we found out that a toothbrush works about best to clean down in there between them. I should say, since we switched the milk replacer, it stays really nice down in between there. Because usually, you know, like it'll build up around here. When I say it'll build up, not our other milk replacer did it worse. But since we switched to this other kind, it actually keeps it really nice. And we do rinse the feeders out every feeding. So they do get rinsed out twice a day, and we let a little water in it and like put a little warm water in it, and then the calves will drink that, and then they'll like dry out in between. Calf. She's red and white, and then she has a black spot there. Black, really pretty.
Not everything is peaches and cream on a farm. You always come upon unexpected things. We have a watering trough here. It's a Ritchie heated watering trough that a couple weeks ago we knew it had leaked a little bit and didn't, yeah, and then it quit, so we just thought, well, something was messed up with the float a little bit. But yeah, I come over here today and there's a bunch. We just cleaned this pen out earlier this week. The heifers are in here running around. These are the heifers that are about a year old. They're not quite breeding age yet, but yeah, they're kind of worked up because I just bedded the pen, and then I'm in here with them, so they're kind of worked up a little bit. But yeah, there's water everywhere. Luckily we don't have concrete on this floor, so hopefully it'll drain away or seep away. But we did just clean it out earlier this week, and so there ain't much bedding in here, but it didn't get wet very far out, thankfully. It's just a section here around the trough. But we'll open up and see what we get involved in. I know there's some issues here at the top, where the top piece is half loose, where the float, that red piece there on the top where the float's inside. I'm hoping I can get it patched back together, at least to go through the weekend for sure, because it's Saturday afternoon. I won't be able to find any parts for it today. Yeah, I'll show you a little video down inside here. There's this would be called a heated water or heated watering trough. Yeah, there's a heating element in there that keeps it from freezing in the winter. So that part's really nice. But yeah, there's water dripping down through there. I made sure the electric's turned off so I don't end up getting shocked or anything with all that water in there. But yeah, we'll check a few more things out. I see there's a big nut piece there that's loose. Oh, that thing's cracked. Oh boy. Anyway, we'll see what we can come up with here. Shop to get a couple more pieces or parts. There's a part that's cracked on here where it holds everything together. I'll try to show a little bit of that. But yeah, it's one thing when you're working on a project like this, unless you have all new parts readily available, there's not a whole lot that you kind of gotta put some things together as you go to make it all work. But yeah, this red piece here on the top it has a lid that you can open up. I'll see if I can, yeah, you can open the top up, open the lid up, and that's how you get down into the float. The float's right down in here. Yeah, this lid just kind of lays on top right there, but then it fastens to the bottom part, and they have it all cracked out in here. I guess over the years of butting around on it and pushing around on it, and here where the bolt goes down through to hold it tight down here on the bottom piece, yeah, it's all cracked out and nothing's staying loose. I took a piece of flat metal and bent it, see if I can put that in there and hold it all together for now, so it don't leak over the weekend, at least for sure. Here's a piece I have. It was a little flat piece of metal, and I bent it. It has a hole on both ends. I'm not sure what it was from, but we have a lot of scrap metal laying there in the shop. Yeah, just bent it in a elbow. I'll lay it in here and it'll hold it all together there where that piece is cracked. I'll show you what it's like when I'm done. All back together here. Yeah, I put that little L bracket in there, and yeah, it made it really sturdy and strong again. We might have to just replace this whole top piece with it cracked out like that, but we'll see what happens. I'm still gonna have to replace that nut down underneath there that I said was cracked. I got a wee little bit of a drip there yet, but yeah, it's not enough that it's not running over like it was before, so it'll be fine here for the weekend for sure. And you never know what you're getting into with a project like that. Yeah, we've luckily, thankfully, I shouldn't say luckily, thankfully these things don't happen real often, but when they do, you just got to deal with them and move on. Heated watering troughs that I was talking about, they're really nice. We have a lot of what they would call energy-free watering troughs, where there's a hole down in the ground, maybe, well, in our area, you usually go about 3 feet, maybe about a foot around piece of pipe you stick down in the ground, about 3 feet in the ground, and that would your water line comes up through there, and that lets warm ground air come up through the trough, and it comes, yeah, it's kind of sealed around the float and stuff, so the float's not out in the open, but that warm ground air keeps enough heat coming up in there. And then with the cattle drinking out of it, I think a lot of times they recommend having close to 20 head drink out of it, and yeah, to keep enough water flowing through. I mean, if the trough just sat there and nobody ever drank out of it, it would freeze without any heat. The trough here has a stainless steel bowl that they drink out of. There's a drain you can open up and drain it to clean the trough out. But underneath the bottom of that stainless steel bowl, there's a heating element that lays right up against there. And then there's a kind of a coil, long coil. It's not really a heat tape, but it creates some heat as well that's wrapped around some of the water lines down under there. And the trough itself, it's constructed out of like a poly, but it has insulation value in there, so it's not just like out in the cold. But yeah, then around the float, this is all protected around the float, and it's sealed to water, so there's not like cold air can get in right to the float. And there's a thermostat in there that's connected to it that yeah, that don't let it overheat. It'll reach up to a certain temperature, and then, yeah, just hold it at that certain temperature. In the winter when it's really cold, yeah, you can come over here. The water actually, it's not hot, but it feels warm to the touch. So yeah, regardless, when you have a heated water like that, regardless of what the temperature is outside, as long as everything's working, they should never freeze. Yeah, at least not in our area where we live in. Some bitter cold areas might still have some trouble. I'm not sure about that, but job like that, you never quite know what you're getting into. You take everything along that you think you might need, and usually, if you're lucky, you only have to come back to the shop once, and sometimes maybe multiple times, depending on what you get into.